Have you ever stood in a place so quiet, so still, that it felt like it was waiting for you to hear something? At Waverly Hills, silence doesn't mean peace. It means something is listening. At the edge of Louisville, Kentucky, hidden behind skeletal trees and tangled vines, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium looms like a memory no one wants to remember. Its brick face is cracked, but not broken, like it's still holding secrets in its walls, too dangerous to let go. The building stretches long and cold, 5 stories of quiet corridors, rusted bed frames, and windows that haven't blinked in over a century. You don't hear the birds here, you don't feel the wind. The air is still, thick, and carries the faint scent of bleach and something older, something like wet plaster, rust, and mold. Or, B, it's just the memory of death that clings to everything. The floor creaks beneath your feet even when you're standing still. The light doesn't reach the corners, and even in the daytime, it feels like you're underground. They say Waverly Hills was built to heal, but healing here came at a cost. In the early 1900s, when tuberculosis swept through the country like a slow-moving executioner, Waverly opened its gates as a place of hope. But the hope didn't last. Over 60,000 patients passed through those doors. Thousands never left, and the treatments weren't gentle rib removals while patients were still awake. Electric shock therapy, isolation in cold rooms, and worst of all, the body chute, a tunnel beneath the building, originally for supplies, turned into a secret passage for the dead. They wheeled bodies out of sight so the living wouldn't see just how hopeless it had become. Some say you can still hear the gurney wheels squeaking along the concrete. But the chute doesn't echo back. It's like the earth swallowed the sound. They tell stories here, not tourist stories, not ghosts or nonsense, real ones. Whispers, like the nurse who hanged herself in room 502 after discovering she was pregnant by a doctor who abandoned her. They found her swinging by the neck, still in uniform. But what they don't tell you is what happens when you sit quietly in that room and listen. It was October 17th, 3 years ago, when Evelyn Monroe, a freelance photojournalist, decided to spend the night at Waverly Hills for a documentary that never aired. She came alone, ignoring the warnings, carrying only a camera, a sleeping bag, and a small voice recorder. She entered just before dusk, her breath already visible in the chill of the stairwell. The building had no power, but she didn't seem afraid. She walked the halls slowly, recording her thoughts. "It's quiet," she whispered. "Too quiet. Feels like I'm being watched, but there's no one here." She set up camp in the 4th floor solarium, a place once meant for patients to rest and breathe fresh air. The windows had long since shattered, and the wine made a low, moaning sound as it slipped through the broken panes. She turned on her recorder and said, "I'm going to sleep now. If anything happens, this will catch it." She never made it to sleep. At 17 a.m., the recorder picked up the sound of something metal dragging across the floor, followed by soft, labored breathing. Not Evelyn's. This breath rasped in and out like someone whose lungs were full of water. Then a whisper, "Help me." The recorder kept going. Evelyn's voice cracked through the speaker. "Hello? Who's there?" A silence. Then shuffling footsteps. Evelyn spoke again. Lower now. "This isn't funny. If someone's in here, I swear I'll call the police." But what answered wasn't a voice. It was a scream. Not loud, not shrill. It was muted, muffled, like it had traveled through miles of dirt to reach her. Like it came from under the floor. And then the recorder stopped. At 4:40 a.m., the building's night security found Evelyn on the stairwell, barefoot and shivering, her camera shattered beside her. She didn't remember what happened. She couldn't explain the bruises on her arms or why her hair had been partially cut. She never spoke about that night again, but the strangest part, the recorder had one last clip, recorded just before it went silent. A whisper so faint, you have to turn the volume all the way up to hear it. "Don't go to room 502. She's not alone." They tried to clean it up digitally, sent it to audio engineers. even paranormal investigators. No one could explain the distortion layered beneath the whisper. Some said it sounded like dozens of voices, all speaking at once, trying to be heard through water, or blood, or time. And Evelyn wasn't the last. 6 months ago, a teenage urban explorer live-streamed his visit to Waverly Hills. His chat watched in real time as his flashlight flickered and died, and his camera went black for a full 5 minutes. When it came back on, he was sitting in the fetal position on the 5th floor landing, eyes wide open, not blinking. He hadn't spoken since. His followers clipped the footage. At exactly 1 hour 13 minutes and 41 seconds in the stream, there's a sound, a low, breathy exhale, and then the unmistakable words, "He's in the walls." No one has figured out who he is. Some say it's the doctor who pushed the nurse to her death and hid in the shadows for years. Some say it's not a person at all, but the echo of every patient who died alone, whose lungs gave out before they could scream. The collective grief of thousands, too weak to cry for help. Until now, because at Waverly Hills, the silence isn't empty. It's full of things that were never said, screams that were swallowed, questions that were never answered. And if you listen long enough, you'll hear them. They're still screaming. They just don't have mouths anymore. So, if you ever find yourself standing in front of Waverly Hills Sanatorium, and the wind suddenly stops, ask yourself one question. Is it really the silence you're hearing? Or is something holding its breath, waiting for you to listen?